afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon from here. Good afternoon to our viewers back at home in India. We are live from the Indian Pavilion at the Festival Weekends. What is going to be an electrifying session with the top creators in India who are absolutely adored and loved. So thank you everyone for joining us. And we're going to speak a lot about the Indian creative economy here. And of course, everything that it has to do with being creative. So I'm going to start. I have Niharika and Dolly here. Thank you, ladies. You look lovely. I'm going to first start by asking you the question on how does it feel to be in Canada?
It's a long way away. One second, we didn't wear outfits that.
It feels surreal. It's always a nervous and anxious time for me when I'm doing something out of my comfort zone, but I do enjoy pushing myself, or at least that's what I tell myself when it becomes true, because fake it till you make it, Diana said it. But I'm very grateful and honored to be in a place like Cannes and do what I'm doing with Brut. I know not many people get the opportunity to do so, and I recognize that, and I'm so grateful that I get to do something like this.
Right. What about you, Dolly? And hello, Ranveer and Ruhee. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
I think first of all, I think the oldest memory I have of this festival is, watching it on television when Aishwarya, Vidya Balan, Malika Sherawat would walk the carpet and be on the news all the time. And I remember just being so in awe of, this global platform. And it was the beginning of it all, I think. I remember Indian celebrities just doing that global thing for the first time. And that festival's name, and I think we all pronounce it wrong, Cannes, all of that film festival. But it's still, I think Indians, we know, and every year we wait for these moments that who's going to do what, and which films are you watching, which, screenings are you attending, all of that. And so to be here after all these years of watching it on television or being hooked to your Instagram, waiting for your favorite celebrities' looks, to be here in person now is definitely, like Niharika said, surreal. It is unbelievable. At the same time, I'm super grateful for Brut for bringing me here and giving me this opportunity. And also, I walked my first red carpet yesterday, which was unbelievable and incredible. And I had goosebumps. I still have it when I'm thinking about it. Thank you. And so, yeah, it is definitely a dream come true.
Superstars of the Indian creative space here with us. Thank you. And speaking of storytelling, we are here where the world's best storytellers come in. There's magic and there's so much love and applause for all creative people. So we're sitting here at the mecca of that. So I'm going to start with you, Ranveer. Tell us, a little bit about how do you pick what you do. Why I'm starting with you is because you're not, the content that you're doing, there are no characters in it. So I'm going to come to them on how they, they pick the characters. So how do you pick your subjects?
I'll be very honest, I've been doing this for a while. And at this point, it's just about what will get the most views. It's as simple as that.
Okay, I thought we were going to get into that conversation a little later, but we've already opened that up completely. Okay.
I don't think content creation is an easy job, and you only know that when you do it. Especially in the long term, when there's so many reinventions involved, you do whatever is best for views and money, always, and that's how you'll survive. And it's actually a survival game much more than it is a growth game.
And how long did it take you to get here in terms of choosing for the views, or was it always like that even when you began?
Only since the beginning of last year, and it's been the biggest game-changing decision. Like it's the harsh truth, but for me, at least for my process, I've removed the art from it, and I'm just doing it now to grow. But I enjoy that. So the enjoyment's not removed while the art is removed. It's the truth is you're kind of a slave to the algorithms. So the people at Instagram and YouTube and Twitter decide what you should be doing. You just need to kind of find out and then go for it. Because probably in 2 years' time the entire game's going to change, and then you got to play the game they wish for you to play then. Which might even mean a new social media platform.
And how would you differentiate, because the algorithm is something that everybody is looking at, right, for different platforms. And we know that, okay, this is the kind of content that is doing well, this not so much. So how would you differentiate yourself from every other creator who's probably doing the same thing?
think it's a very subjective answer. Like everyone will answer this differently. So I'll only answer it according to myself. I think you have to really identify what works for you as a creator. For me, I know I can keep working. I can work like 7 days a week. So I just put out a huge amount of quantity, and that's what's always worked for me. But the answer will be very different for every content creator.
Okay, I'm going to come back to the engagement piece in just a bit. But thanks for that. Ruhee, you're in a space which is so crowded in terms of Bollywood. Everybody is doing Bollywood. I mean, I think the algorithm can change a lot, but Bollywood is something which is always on top. It's always trending, and we're always looking at it. How do you do what you do? How do you differentiate yourself?
Man, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to Bollywood, I started doing videos on like advertisement and jingles, like I feel like that was very different, and it was not like it's not ever like a proper dancing routine because I'm not a proper dancer. So it started with just having fun. Just keep your phone, turn it on, and just do whatever you feel like doing. Choose different angles, do some fun steps, and just enjoy it. Because once you start getting too technical about the steps and the moves, I think it gets too much. And I'm not, again, like a professional dancer, so it takes a lot to come up with a very funky step or something. But I've been dancing since a while, just having fun. So I feel like it comes naturally for me.
You're making it sound way too easy. I don't think it is that easy.
You've seen me dancing, right?
All right. What I wanted to ask you, of course, Niharika, if you can tell us a little bit about how do you pick your character, your story, especially when you're, making content for yourself, for your viewers, and then of course when you're collaborating.
I was going to take your mic. I mostly do observation comedy, so I try to just pick out experiences that I go through. I'll exaggerate a little bit, add a little masala tekka to it, package it in a different way, and throw it out there. But it's mostly what happens to me. I pull from personal experiences, but I exaggerate a little bit because for comedic effect and for the algorithm. So yeah, that's how I do what I do and pick my characters. I mostly attack my mom a lot, but she's really not anything in the way that I portray her. She's actually really sweet and really chill. And sometimes when I'm doing the boom thing, she's like, I never do that. I'm like, I know, but it's not fun if I'm just having an open conversation on the internet about how bacha tu theek hai. So, that's how I pick my characters.
Alright, thanks for that. Dolly, where do you, pick your characters from? My favorite is what you did with the Wednesday. Yeah, that was fantastic. So tell us a little bit about that.
I think initially, of course, Niharika said it right, observation comedy is the thing. And initially we started with a lot of exaggerated characters. We did Raju Ki Mummy and South Delhi Girls. And at that point, people were enjoying these big, characters that are living a very real life. Relatable, but also not. And you can have fun with them, you can laugh at them. And it was enjoyable. But right now, I think we're seeing a phase of content where people want to watch you and the real you. Of course, again, exaggerated a little bit because we do comedy. So you have to take it up a notch. You can't just be, have a show routine and go about it. Like you said, Wednesday is something I really enjoy because I always imagined the Addams family and the characters, what would they look like in an Indian context when we talk about the Indian things, when an auntie taunts you, what would, like we call Wednesday in India, Budhwar, what would Budhwar's reply be? So to imagine that, I think I really enjoy putting myself in those situations and kind of working around those characters and where would they be. And I also do a lot of, nobody needs that on Instagram, but I do a lot of writing a character sketch and a backstory for those characters just for my own clarity as, okay, maybe they got educated like this and they have a family like this or they got divorced and, things like that. And I enjoy that part a lot because I think I've always been that creative person and brings out the artist in me. And of course, running behind the numbers as well.
Okay, we're back to numbers. But just really quickly, Niharika and Dolly, I just want to ask this so that I can close the loop on it, which is for everybody, the Gen Z, the millennials watching you back home as well. Do you storyboard, how deeply do you storyboard? Do you script it? What is your process like? The reason I ask this is because, of course, you're immensely talented. You make it look so easy when you're out there on the camera. Oh, you just put it on, make a reel, it's done. But there's a lot of work, right, that goes behind it. So tell us a little bit about the process.
I think initially I had no process at all. Whatever I think would be funny, I would just turn the camera on and really hope for some joke to hit. But eventually I realized that that is a very exhaustive process because some days you get it in one take, some days 4 hours later I'm still saying the same 2 lines. And when I started working with brands, they really needed scripts, and I was like, I don't know how to write one because everything changes when I turn the camera on. And I did a master's in MFA, like I did production, screenplay, and writing. That's when I realized, I figured I learned how to write scripts. Now I don't like the punches of my jokes, but I like the premise and like the setup. Because the punches always change. I say random stuff. I was gonna say it, but I say random stuff. I know I was Brut India, pavilion, Niharika. I say random stuff all the time and I change jokes. So I keep the process a little fluid, so I'm not too contained to one script. But when I work with other people, when I work with other actors and make videos, that's when it's a very collaborative process. And so far I've had the luck of the actor being equally involved. They'll sit and write it with me, they'll sit and edit it with me. So it's a very, very collaborative process. So when it's by myself, whatever comes to mind. When it's with a band, I write a little bit. It's an actor, they're actually more involved than I am. Sometimes my script is not even my script anymore.
Okay, lots of secrets we share here.
I love that
the brand process. Okay, thank you. Dolly?
I actually, through this process of making content over the years, I've realized that I genuinely love to write. So now I enjoy writing all sorts of scripts. In fact, I've written a short film and all of that. I'm planning to make it soon. So genuinely enjoy writing scripts for all my videos and everything else, and working with brands and how to integrate them. And I always tell them, let's not make an ad, let's do it as seamlessly as possible. Let people enjoy the video, let the brand come in nicely. So it's a good process. Of course, like you said, it is not as easy as it looks. But at the same time, because the internet changes every day, you can't storyboard for a month. Okay, this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do, because trends keep coming in and going, and you have to keep up with the times. So all of that happens. But yeah, I do, for whatever characters I do or whatever stories I do, I still storyboard for that. That okay, next Wednesday I'm going to post this, or next Thursday I'm going to post this. So a lot of planning happens like that.
Consistency in terms of content that you're going to be posting.
Oh my God, consistency. If you're not consistent on the internet, if you're a creator, then it's a lost game. I think, yeah.
All of you who want more followers, please take notes. I am. Ruhee, you're at a really interesting stage, and I wanted to ask you this, that we all begin, when we're doing content in a very sort of, authentic way that shines through with everything that you do. Like you said, you see me dancing, this is what I do, it's different, I grew. How do you manage sometimes in terms of as you're growing, as your followers are growing, do you feel the need to sort of, script, come up with a plan, keep sort of, trying to be ahead of the curve, where that authenticity sort of gets a little muddled up?
So I feel like when it comes to dancing, I feel like content only, it can get boring all the time, right? And I feel like to keep it interesting, you have to keep up with the trend, like what's happening, and trying out different things. So even I've started trying out different things with relatable content, because I just can't keep doing one thing. Because if I get bored with myself, then I know how the audience will feel. So I feel like always listen to what your audience wants from you and try to work on it. And when it comes to brands, I feel like I hate writing, by the way. That's why I dance. But yes. But
be a collab, yeah.
But then I work with so many people that they help me a lot. Next time, yeah, Dolly, let's go. But I have started I enjoy doing characters when it comes to no speaking and no talking a lot. I can show expressions and stuff. I was also going to say the word. So yeah, I feel like writing is not on my list yet, because I'm very natural. It's just like a one-take thing. I can't read something and do something. It's just me. I can't. I hate when it comes to giving proper brand CTAs too. But yeah, I feel like adding a proper scripted thing and adding my element, which is dancing, to it, I think that's also something different. So always keep evolving.
Alright, you're evolving constantly and creating something new for your viewers every day. Ranveer, I wanted to ask you on the authenticity part. You're somebody who puts yourself out there constantly. You've been doing this content for so long that so many aspects of your life is what you've shared with your viewers. And even today, though, you just said that I'm looking at the algorithm and doing content accordingly. But I think in each of that, you're still putting out pieces of your life. How difficult is that to do?
If you want growth as a content creator, after a while you have to sell your soul a little bit. That's the truth. I think it's a very personal choice. You have to figure out how much of your life you want to keep private and then work backwards from there. So for me, I've realized I'm not going to talk about my family life or relationships online, but I can talk about everything else. And if the kind of content I do is podcasts, which are 2-hour long conversations, and I release 4 a week, which means I record 6 every week, which means that all of me is going to be out there on the internet. So I don't think about this question. I've not thought about
this. It's like you've given it until now, okay.
But I'm PR trained, so I know what not to say.
All right. But in terms of being, let me phrase it in a different way. You want to be like, let's put it 2 hours every single day, vulnerable, where the camera is rolling.
I'm sorry, I've gotten into so much trouble that I know what not to say. That's it. But anyway.
Yeah. No, the point is, and I would like to ask all of you in terms of being vulnerable. It's a different thing to be in front of a camera in terms of when you're doing a film or something which is scripted, or maybe even now. I mean, we're having a super authentic conversation. I think all of you. Are putting yourselves out there, you're thinking, you're telling us, you're connecting with everybody back home and here. What I mean to ask you is in terms of being vulnerable. It takes a lot to be vulnerable on camera every single day, where you have a loop where people are just telling you everything which comes to their mind. There's sometimes you don't know them. There are a lot of people who love you, who hate you, they love what you wear, they don't like what you've done. So in terms of what does it take to be vulnerable every day for 2 hours, when you're shooting, maybe you're shooting for 4 hours and editing it for 2, but that vulnerability factor, you bring it every single day when you're doing it.
I think after one you just forget that the camera is there, you just live your life. Like it all merges into one. That's the honest answer. I know it's not something a lot of people would be able to empathize with, but when you, especially with YouTubing as content, when you're vlogging, when you're doing podcasts, the camera is a part of your world. So it's not even something I can relate with like this question, because it's like brushing my teeth or having a bath.
You're out there. You have to be vulnerable every day when you're doing this interviews.
Yes.
Okay. What about the views and the comment section? Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes there's a lot of love out there. So again, I want to ask you, and maybe we can start with you, Ruhee. How do you take a lot of maybe the negative comments that come in? Do you listen to them? Do you don't listen to them? What's your process?
I feel like negative, it depends, like what is saying. Are they talking about my looks or my content? If it's content, I'll take it and I'll work on it. If it's like, right, I'll ask my mom. When it comes to looks or like certain things, and I feel like like everyone is not like you. Like it's okay. Like I'm not there to make everybody happy. And some people are not gonna like your content. It's okay. I'm okay with the fact that not everybody is gonna be like, I love Ruhee Dosani. It's fine. So it doesn't bother me a lot. And I'm a very a positive person. I chill, I joke around, I share it with my friends if I read it. And usually after a certain point, like if I post something, I go through the comments, and then after that I'm not gonna look back into it. And yeah.
Alright, so you go with the flow, depending on what's happening in the comment section. Niharika and Dolly.
Wow, thank you. I'm, I think, the biggest crybaby I know. I'm so sensitive. The smallest thing, like I could say hi to you, and then if you didn't wave back with the same energy that I gave you, I will be overthinking it for the next week. I'll be like, what did I do wrong? Why does she hate me? And you could have just probably said hi like in a normal person way, Having said that, I grew up on the internet because I started making videos when I was 16 in college. I started on YouTube. Then I quit social media to do my education and masters. Also, because my parents said, "You're not going to make money off that stuff." held myself back, all that stuff. So there's no point wasting your time on it, which I agree with. Until I restarted social media. So I've been on the internet for so long. I'm 25 now, so for over a decade, almost I've been on the internet. Now I can say my skin is thick because I've read every possible hate comment you could write about me. It's the same stuff.
What is one of
days,
the worst comments that you got?
I don't think at this point I don't think there's any like worse thing. The same generic stuff. I feel like you should get creative with the hate also, because if you're gonna say, oh, you're repetitive, you're also repetitive. So like come up with better hate comments. Oh, I'm cringy. Okay, and at least I'm trying. We're all cringy, right? Like at some point we're all cringy. Oh, you're unfunny. Okay, and you are like show. You know what I mean? Look, I'm being sassy, but please don't come at me. I'll really cry about it. Okay? I just wanted to be sassy. I'm trying to like tell you that I also have like an inner voice. Like that never comes out. I'm sorry. Like if you don't like me, okay, darling, just don't watch my stuff. See, like I have this like weird internal battle. I think I'm spiraling on the panel right now. But I think I'm at a point where I can get it together when it's opinions, because I know opinions are not always facts, and I've drawn that line and I don't let that line blur. And I also have an incredible support system. My family and friends always give me a reality check. If I'm flying too much, they put me down and make me sit down. And if I'm digging myself into the ground, they put me back down. So I think I'm sorted on that.
Okay, great. Thank you for taking us through your process, Dolly.
Almost like her, I have also therapy. I started therapy thanks to the internet and thanks to the people I was meeting. So sometimes it does get to you. I think it started bothering me after a point because I'm an introvert in general, and when I do comedy, people can't put the two and two together. And so when they meet me, they expect this flamboyant, person who's so extra about everything. But then they meet me, and I'm like, I'm this. I'm reserved. I talk and. They were expecting maybe tons of jokes, coming out of my mouth one after the other, and that doesn't happen. So after a point, I started getting scared of meeting people because they would say things like, "Oh, are you upset? You look different. Oh, you're so skinny in real life, huh?" So after a point, you try to guard yourself. Maybe I shouldn't meet people. Maybe internet is fine. Of course, on the internet as well, you read comments, and some days are good, so you're like, okay, I don't care, I read the good comments, they are bad. But sometimes that one simple bad comment, and even if it's just, you are cringe, that will get to you so much more than the good things, which are like literally paragraphs, right? But that's just, and then therapy helps. So, take therapy, it would help, and also guard yourself and have a support system, like she said. That's great, but you may have I still have bad days. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. It's a really important point that we should discuss a bit further. For everybody who's out there on the internet, everybody who's watching, so much of content which is there, and people posting their pictures, sharing stuff about their lives. Tell us a little bit about, how therapy helped you. How did you come, to that process, and how important is it, because you all are creating content and watching so much of it constantly. How are you managing your, mental wellness?
I think it's very important. I think as a conversation, mental health has become really, really, we are talking about it, which is amazing. And I started therapy a few years back, which really helped because I was struggling so much with making content and doing it for people, because I was just reading the hate comments and it would get to me and I would cry about it. And I really thought that maybe I should stop. It's not aligning with my personality. How does that work? I completely forgot that it's performance, and what I'm doing is performance. It doesn't have to align with my personality. It doesn't have to be completely 100% me, because I'm doing character work. I'm not putting my authentic self out there in all situations. So that's fine. But I think in general, what I always tell other content creators as well is just don't let it get to you. My perspective now, and obviously my therapist has helped me, is that, these people who are commenting don't have anything else to do. They are actually taking out time to sit on the internet, write something mean, and that's what they do all day. What you are doing meanwhile is working. So I think that appreciation for your self-worth and your self-worth is also extremely important, and to always hold yourself very high, because otherwise people will take you down. So that's extremely important, and I'm trying to do that. But like I said, you do have bad days, but now thankfully I have good days more than the bad days.
Right, more
So
power
then
to
we
you.
help.
More power to you. Ruhee, Ranveer, any comments or engagement that you've seen that has probably hurt more, or sometimes just looking at it in black and white, sometimes what you're thinking, your worst fears, right? Seeing it in black and white, being written out there. How has it played that out for you?
I feel like when it comes to like negativity, I learn how to deal with it rather than ignoring it or like piling it up. And my main therapist is talking to my mother. Like she's there for me 24/7. I know I have a strong circle of best friends like since childhood. And just like Niharika said, like they keep you going, like they keep you grounded, and you know that you will have a bad day. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm happy go lucky, nothing's gonna bother me. No, I do have bad days, certain things do bother me, but I just deal with it and then I move on, because you can't be like sitting and crying about it, because again, like Dolly said, they're just writing it, like they're just commenting. What are they doing in life? Actually, you're here for a reason, right? And my mom goes through every single comment, by the way. She's like, Bacha, why are they writing you so cringe and all? That's okay, chill, no. And then she starts in Punjabi, nahi kitna aega life chill. Mama, relax. So yeah, like I said, she's my therapy. She always like keeps me high up there, and I have a great team. My manager is always amazing. He knows me so well. Like if I talk to him about anything, he keeps me sane. He's just like, yo, you know who you are, right? That's about it.
Right. Ranveer?
Yeah, again, I think after a point you have to stop being a people pleaser. So fortunately that came to me like pretty early. I began fitness, like that was my first genre I took on, which is a very difficult genre to begin when it comes to hate comments. So in my first 2 months I got trained. This is how life is going to be forever now. The only thing that affects me at this point is if my mother gets targeted or like my sister gets targeted. Unfortunately, I mean, I think I've made the mistake of putting them a little bit on the internet in my past. So that's the only time it kind of bothers me. But again, this is a very subjective answer. Everyone has different things that bother them.
How do you deal with it when they do come after the family, or there are these random comments that you've shared some really interesting things about how your mom helped you through your journey?
I think it's more about training your mom and sister to deal with it. That's how I deal with it. That they definitely they get affected in the same way that Ruhee's mom gets affected. They'll scan the comments and say, why are people saying all these things? And then I have to explain to them what the nature of fame is, which you only understand after you experience fame yourself. And it's also very individual, very kind of lonely. So at this point, I've just been training them every day. So every Saturday, I ask my mom, what did we talk about last week? Can't go through these comments, etc., etc.
So, and what is the nature of fame? Like overnight, almost.
Changes depending on whether you're on an up or you're on a down, and there are ups and downs. That's what people don't understand. So if like every content, it's kind of like a sport. You kind of go out of form sometimes. Like your content doesn't work for a while. How do you end up dealing with that? Apparently, when everything's going well, it can be very intoxicating. So how do you deal with that, and how do you still continue making great content? For me, what I felt is the longer you stay famous, the lonelier it gets. That's definitely true. Yeah.
You all think,
Not famous enough yet.
But I think the journey itself is very lonely. Like you will have people with you, but on your, I don't know how to explain it. I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, the whole process, you have people around you, but you're still by yourself. Like you can be in a room full of people and still feel very alone. But I think that's just humans in general. But what do I know?
all right. I'm going to shift gears slightly. Doing a little bit of research, and the numbers like some 50 million to 200 million creators across the world. The creator economy is at a $250 billion right now. 2024, it's probably going to be 3,000 crores, in India. We're sitting here at the India Pavilion, bringing minds together, talking about the creative economy. I'd like to hear from you all in terms of, where do you think the creative economy in India is, heading?
When you start.
I think for another 5 years it's going to be great, and things are going to improve.
Why do you say that?
It's just where technology is going. I think too many people underestimate what this ChatGPT thing is going to become going forward. And I say that from the perspective of having spoken to scientists and engineers on the podcast. I know where it's going. Social media is moving towards more anonymity. I do believe content creation will exist. I don't think influencers will exist. So what I mean is anyone who switches into something called IP creation, intellectual property creation, will survive. That means create shows, create media houses, create concepts. You'll be okay. Create businesses. Maybe create your own social media platform. So things are going to implode, but 5 years from now, because of the AI revolution.
You think because of the AI revolution?
But for 5 years, every year there's going to be even more money than the previous year, and it's already exorbitant money. Like it's unfairly good, which is why even as a content creator, if we're making money off of content creation, I always take it with a little hesitation because I know that it's not going to last 5 years from now.
Do you all feel the same in terms of AI? What's it doing? Are you already using AI in some of the? We are Brut are using AI. Experimenting with it, seeing what it does. Ruhee? you can't answer for you, right?
One thing about me is I literally recently quit my other job. I had a full-time IT job. So my backup plan is always IT. I enjoy doing that because I'm doing it for fun. It's not a long-term thing for me. It took me it took a lot in me to quit that job. For a year and a half, for 2 years actually, I did 2 full-time jobs. So it was very overwhelming. And yeah, my plan is to get back. Go back to the join the other side. Yeah, of course, this and that. Yeah, I don't think I can keep doing this for a long time because I enjoy it, yeah, but I do like my personal private life, to be very honest. I enjoyed it. So right now, of course, Ranveer said, getting knowledge from him, and then 5 years later, the plan I'll make now only. Ready, thank you.
Niharika?
I think I'm having existential crisis right now. I wasn't aware I had to think of a backup career. I just got
Please, push the,
I just have random degrees hanging on the wall that I thought I'd never put to use. However, I think with the evolution with AI, I think even whatever we're doing now will evolve into something that we can all adapt to. I don't know if it'll cease to exist, because if we do, I really don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm a little thrown in for a who asked me to get that deep technical information, man. I was just gonna be wow, in 5 years, hopefully I'm making bigger videos or whatever. Now I'm just oh my gosh, in 5 years I need to have a backup career. Yeah.
I'm glad we started with Ranveer, right?
I'm really regretting it, actually.
Got to create a plan B Ranveer for everyone, yeah. Dolly.
Thanks Ranveer for putting me to this existential crisis mode right now. But I feel I've never thought of 5 years down the line. I don't think like that, because I do feel content creation anyway such that it just changes every day. So you have to just keeping up already takes enough. I'm not going to sit and plan the next 5 years. But like I said, of course, I'm venturing into other things. This year I became an entrepreneur as well, and I launched my own candle collection. And I'm venturing into acting. That's also something I've realized I enjoy a lot. I love being on sets, and I love being a part of such a big team, and making something that everybody comes together to make and see the final product. A film of mine is also releasing this year. And then writing, like I said, is something that I'm enjoying. So if content creation does go down and implode, then I'll probably have these other things to do in life and get into, because I do love writing and acting as well.
We'll do another panel with all the entrepreneurs, right? You'll come in as entrepreneurs. We'll talk about 5 years down the line. This is how you started your company.
I'm just gonna ask Ranveer, do you have a position or something? I'm going to be on my side.
In IT.
Yeah.
I don't think content creation will stop. That's going to continue. It's just going to be anonymous. You're going to, what's happening with Reddit is going to happen a lot on Reddit, Twitch, Roblox, all these new age social media platforms. Everything's becoming very behind the mask. So your creativity will still get to flourish, but it won't be this way. It won't be our faces. Or it'll be our faces representing different characters or something like that.
Like avatars and things.
But there will be lots of people who won't be able to keep up, and there will be lots of people whose golden period will start in that time also.
Alright, thank you. This seems like a great point to take. Any questions if we have from the audience?
All right then.
There's a question there.
Just wondering about your international, you're obviously a huge in India, and I was wondering about the international reach, when you reached as an influence, when you had a bigger sphere of South Asian diaspora, and you just give us a bit about that engagement in the UK or US, for example. Is there something you'd like to aspire to as well?
Yeah, there's more money in the US right now. So yes, but it's difficult to reach out to that audience easily. The only way to reach out is chasing a niche and then expanding from there. It's a very difficult game, but that's what all of us want to do in some way or the other. Yeah.
I don't believe though that reaching a global platform like we are here right now, it is a global platform. I'm sitting in France, who would have thought? So it is definitely something that I aspire for, having a global image, having a global name, people all around the world knowing me. I do have a lot of audience in the US, NRIs that reside everywhere. They enjoy our content. They get a glimpse of India through our content. So that's definitely happening. And a lot of our names in India, content creators, are doing fabulous work outside and worldwide, and they're collaborating with bigger brands and huge labels. So that's happening, for sure we would love to, I would definitely love for that to happen for me as well. I think globally content creation is getting so much recognition, the industry is booming, so we do hope for it, and I would love to be famous in the US for sure.
But I actually tried. I started content creating in the States only, in the US. I still got Indian audience. I don't know. Yeah, but Indians are everywhere, so that is kind of global, right? You'll find one Indian somewhere. One.
Well, is an all for people answer. I actually started making reels when I was in the US, and it was picked up by the American audience on TikTok, because TikTok was banned in India. So my first burst of followers that I had was from the US and UK and Dubai, actually. So it was an international audience, and then when I switched platforms, that's when I got an Indian audience. So that was lovely.
Please go ahead.
Hi. Is it on me now? Okay. So I heard I heard Ranveer say that he's recording 6 shows in a week, and they're all 2 to 3 hours long. And the question is for all of you. I just want to know the kind of back work that goes into your kind of work. The back work, the research. I mean, is there a strong team that all of you have? How do you put out so much content in such less time?
I have personally realized that I'm just not able to work in a team, at least for now. I'm very bad with delegation. And I'm also this person who's never happy with everybody else's work. So I'm like, let me do it. Let me do this myself. So I shoot myself, I script myself, I edit myself, most of my stuff. It's still going like that, but it has to stop, because if I want to do bigger things, I do need a team to help me around. But for now, this is what's helping, and I think the beauty about content creation is also that even if you don't have anyone, you just have your camera and you have your internet, you're good to go. You can become a content creator, you can put your dreams to work, and you can start working on it. And of course, with time, you can build your team. I do have a management. I have a great manager who handles me somehow. She's sitting right here. A lot of work does go into it, a lot of planning goes into it, content creation, but it is also, like I mentioned, keeping up with the trends and everything that's happening. So it can change, like your timetable never works, let me be honest. Even if I plan like the next week of content, for me it has genuinely never worked 100%. I do have had to change it in the middle somewhere, okay, maybe let me do this trend in the middle. But it is a lot of work in general, which I think it doesn't show on Instagram or in videos that it may require this much work, but when people have actually tried, I've had people come up to me like, oh my god, we tried making videos and it's really hard. How do you do that? So I think that work doesn't show, but I think that's also the beauty of it, that it just seems so easy, right?
I think there was a question back there.
For me, just to follow up on this question, how do you keep up with the algo and the commercialization part of the content? Algo, how do you keep up with the commercialization? How do you keep up with the content to suit the algo's requirement? How do you go up the scale?
I feel like when it comes to algorithm and everything, you keep putting yourself like your original niche, which you started doing, and adding the trend to it. Because you can't just keep following the trend. I personally hate following the trend and just keeping up with just for the numbers. No, I like to add my touch because I like to be myself. That's it. Because if I'm not myself, I hate like doing what I'm doing, and I don't want to do that. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult because when you look at your numbers, especially the algorithm changes, it gets to you. And after a point again, I go to my mom and I'm like, Ma, what do I do? My mom is like, what if Instagram stops working tomorrow? I'm like, stop, be so harsh at least. So yeah, she's like, you started doing this, with fun, with having, just enjoy it. You have a team. I have a great team. I also edit my videos and everything, but I do have certain people who can like back me up. So it's difficult, but one thing for me especially, I hate watching content too. I can't consume it. So I ask my friends, I'm like, what's trending? And can you guys help? And if my friends are like, and I also have certain people coming up to me and they're like, it looks so easy, like you're just dancing, right? I'm like, let's make a video together. Then they understand like what goes behind it because it looks easy. It is not easy at all. Let it be any content, I feel like. It's very difficult to come up with the creativity, to shoot, to edit, to post. It's very difficult because I live in the moment and then I forget to post. So I go in Mumbai and I post about can.
Yeah, firstly, any of the questions here, everyone's going to give like very different answers because that's just how content creation is. And a lot of it is based on who you are as a human and what you want from the career. So someone will aim for fame, someone will aim for money, someone will aim for an acting career, someone will aim for businesses. I think your question was directed to me because I think in like the same way, like about commercials. Big team, firstly, like because that's been probably the biggest thing I've done for myself in my career, which is scaling a team. I have a 25% team. That's how we're able to generate like 4 a week, etc., etc. And in order to hack the algorithm, first you as the content creator, because you're the captain of the team, you have to consume the content yourself. That's my system. So I consume a lot. A very big video game creator from India told me that the one hack about content creation in India is you take an American concept, you make it better, you make it Indianized, and you make it original. So I don't look at it as American, I look at it as international. So I get a lot of international reels shown to me. I think that, okay, this is interesting, let's make the Indian better version of this, and then it blows up. And as for YouTubing, the advantage of YouTube is it's long form. So it's very similar to what television used to be in the 90s. But the thing is, in TV in the 90s, there were no comment sections. Here we have comment sections, so you get consumer feedback immediately. And after a point, you just play to the consumers, they will make a channel grow extremely aggressively. But all this happens through big teams, data, etc., etc.
Thank you, audience. You've been a fantastic audience. A big thanks to the panelists. You've been amazing. A huge round of applause for where they're sitting behind the ministry, 50 and the NFDC to get us all together here. Hopefully, we should do this annually. Thank you, everyone. Have a great festival.